Henry rifle, July, and the context of it is going to be Aguila and my two Henrys. In July, my father had a heart attack, and he was in the hospital. So, you know, that had to go on, and I had to get away for a little bit. So I took the Toyota Tundra that I have and went to the coast. My rifle already had 700 rounds of Aguila through it. It was pretty filthy. But I went the hour over the hill to the coast and then found myself over there for an extended stay. Longer than I wanted to be over there. And I went up to the mountain 7 different times and periodically ended up going through almost 3,000 rounds of Aguila through my Henry Silver Edition 22 LR and my Henry 8001, which is the original. The first one they ever made in the Henry lineup. And I put so many rounds through that thing that, it started spitting soot. Spitting soot. And I had no ability to clean it. But, my dad was in the hospital and wanted to get my mind off things. And I just kept shooting. And shooting. And I was roughly 5 miles up the mountain and roughly the top of the Trask Range on the Oregon coast. Harambe Ridge, right up in there. I call it Harambe Ridge, but it's not. Up by the Bear Creek area. And I just kept going up there, just kept shooting until I started having 22s. It was pretty hot in July. I was high elevation until the 22s started getting stuck in the mechanism where I had to pull out my Gerber and go like that and pop the cartridge out and pull them out manually. And I kept firing until I had light primer strikes. And then I would switch to the other one and keep firing. And I guess the point of this story is I end up getting stuck an hour from home, no cleaning kits, and no way to clean my firearms. And I was going through shit. I just kept firing. Kept shooting. And the reason this is important, the amount of shooting I was doing versus how much cleaning I was doing, is not long ago, about a month before July 2025, I was up in the Browns camp area. And, I would shoot my 22s and never have a jam or any problems. I look over to the guy on the left. He would load his, fire once, jam. Load his up. He would fire up his 17 HMR, fire, jam. And it would just jam. This guy's, I think it was a 1022, whatever he was shooting. But it would jam after jam. And my 22 Henry would never jam. And it just kept functioning. Thousands and thousands of rounds through my 22. A month later, and I was up in the mountains. Only thing that would happen is the shell casing would get stuck and I'd have to pop it out. And I would keep firing. So the testimony of the 22 Henry is, it's a simple design. You feed it with the lever, you feed it out with the lever. Pretty simple, right? And the other people's 22s and 17 HMRs kept jamming. On the way home with my friend, I looked over and said, that is exactly why I buy the Henry and I buy lever guns. The simplicity of them, the lack of jamming, the lack of rotating parts, and the ability to keep them going is exactly why I spend the money on a Henry. And at the end of the day, that is real world. Going, shooting, having fun, and at the end of July, being stuck at the coast, away from my cleaning supplies, and it just kept functioning. It was hot. The barrels were hot. The only thing that would stick is the casing, but it kept functioning. And I could clear it, fire some more, clear it, and keep firing. It just shows how reliable a Henry is for simple issues that are simply fixed. Yet the other guy had a brand new tool and it jammed every time you put the magazine in. It's exactly why you buy a Henry or you buy a lever gun that is simple to operate. You put it in, you pop it out, and it's all manually done. Highly recommend buying the Henrys because of how reliable they are. Even if you have a cartridge stuck in there, it's easily fixed by popping it out. That's not a gun issue. That's a lack of cleaning issue. But the fact that I can pop it out and keep going shows how reliable it actually is in a real world situation where I was away from home. I was on the other side of the mountain. I couldn't get to my cleaning supplies. I had an appointment to clean it with a friend, but I never went. I just went back up the mountain and kept going. I said, heck with that, I'll just use my other one. And I fired, oh my God, I think almost 3,000 rounds of Aguila. And by the time I got home, I finally felt like it was time to clean it. But what I was seeing up there, I was spitting soot out into the barrel. I fired the Aguilas so many times. The gun just kept going and going and going. In fact, I would consider the barrel spitting. Spitting and spitting. It just kept shooting and shooting. It just shows how reliable those firearms are. Almost couldn't believe it that it kept going. So other than the extractor being hot, the barrel being high elevation and a really hot environment in July on the Oregon coast, the fact that I popped those rounds right out my Gerber and just kept going shows you how reliable Henrys actually are. The simplicity of the elevator all working off the lever just shows that invest in good tools, invest in simple tools, and it will show you how effective they will. They are. They will. They are. And the fact that they just keep going, going, and going, and going, and going. I would consider it a torture test. Gather my thoughts here. A torture test through being forced, not being able to clean it. So, impressed with that. I now own 3 Henrys. About to pick up another one. I have a 22 LR in the silver edition. It's a beautiful tool. And I use that one on the trap line occasionally. I have the basic, blacked out edition, the 8001, that I use in less favorable weather. I have a 22 mag in the brass edition. And when I go down to the store, and if they have a 44 or a 357 or a 45 long Colt, I'm going to pick that up as well. They're super reliable. I know that individual paid about $240, $220 for his HMR that was jamming quite a bit. I told him for another $200 for about $420, you could pick up the black one, and I don't think you're going to have any problems with it jamming. So, yeah, I'm really impressed with the Henrys. I'm an Indian and I can't talk to my English this week. Cool. It's okay. I have a friend in Pakistan that I met through TikTok that he hung out long enough. He speaks better English now than most people speak English. So nothing like learning on the internet. It's perfectly doable. Exactly. Henry for the win. It just functions. And through my trapping with Henry and using the Aguilas or the CCI uppercuts, I'll tell you something. A lot of people underestimate the capabilities of a 22 LR. And it's not just flesh. I'm talking bones and everything. With the right projectile, like the Aguila Super Extra, not only did it go through the cranium, it went out the cranium and into the shoulder blade. With the CCI uppercut, it never left the cranium. But both punched a perfect hole and did their job. At 5 yards, the CCI exploded. But at 5 yards, the Aguila went almost, what would it be? 15 to 20 inches. Pretty lethal. Pretty lethal. So don't ever sleep on the 22 Magnum or 22 LR or 22 Magnum for self-defense. Just be smart with your placed shots. Yeah, I'm absolutely blown away by my Henrys. I was going to make a video on this. It was going to be a lot of rambling and talking about it. It would have been too long to upload. It probably would have took an hour and a half to upload. So I'm just doing the live. But out of all the, necessity of running the Henry and literally being away from my cleaning supplies and still having to get my mind off of the heart attack and all the bullshit my family was going through, it never let me down. Not saying I was stuck in the wilderness or stuck out there, but I was definitely stuck away from cleaning supplies. And cleaning supplies tends to keep things flowing, functioning. Not being near my cleaning supplies typically causes guns to jam and malfunction quite a bit. As long as the hammer dropped, the gun functioned. It still fed all fine and everything. And yeah, you never really have any issues with it. But it was really night and day when I looked at that guy at Brown's camp and realized that he could put his magazine in his 1022. He would go like this and try to fire and it would jam. He would sit there, take it apart, fix it, fire one, sit there and fix it. He'll get one shot off out of a 1022 or anything like that and have to spend 15 minutes trying to fix it. So the amount of time he spent fixing it, I got probably 30 to 40 rounds off for him just still trying to fix a rotary 1022. And that was when he was firing his 1022, his 22. He then went picked up the HMR and had jamming problems with that as well. I said, hey, what brand are you firing? He says, oh, it's a cheap Ruger that I bought. It's not the Ruger part that's the problem, it's the cheap part. You tend to have more problems with cheap investments. My opinion has always been, buy once, cry once. Buy numerous times, cry numerous times. And the more times you have to cry about it, the more expensive it gets because it just builds up. More and more money spent. If I buy a reliable thing once, that's all I spend it on. Other than lifetime maintenance, if you send it in and they send it back within a week, you know, once it gets to them, it's back in a week. Super fast maintenance. You buy the ammo, you know, get lifetime maintenance, lifetime warranty. You don't have a lot of problems. I had a scratch stock from the dealer. They sent me a brand new stock. I installed it, ready to go, free of charge. Henry by far has the best warranty. Henry by far has the most reliable tools. Now, they're very accurate, but a lot of that reliability comes with the fact that it's a lever feed and a lever gun. So it's reliable. It's simple. It functions versus the other brands that are a lot more moving parts. If I have to tell you to invest in something and you got to use it for food or survival, other than an AR, which ammo's expensive, buy a 22. You got about 10 shots. Ammo's cheap. It's functional. You can get squirrels. You can get groundhogs. You can get raccoons. You can get coyotes. You can get all the, you know, animals under 50, 60 pounds. I know a guy that traps mountain lions and harvests the mountain lions. But his shots are cranium shots, and they're close. So, very versatile round. Very effective. All my Henrys function flawlessly, even when I'm stuck away from cleaning supplies and I'm forcing them down range, and they continue to go down range. Barrel gets hot, barrel gets gunked up, the casings get stuck in there, I pop them out, put another 50 to 60 to 150 rounds through, and it just keeps going. Even one of my guns had a light hammer hit on it. Pop that out, functioned it back through, fired just fine. The light hammer strikes was because I would keep the hammer back too long, and then when I would drop it, it wouldn't fire. But if you fire them right away, rack, bang, it just fires. They replaced the, you know, hammer. They did the work on it, sent it out a week back, ready to go. Didn't charge me anything. Yeah, for being stuck on the other side of the mountain and having no cleaning supplies and just keep using the gun to the point that it was spit and soot, that's pretty damn reliable. Came home, cleaned everything, and they still fire fine, so. Yeah, but in my mind, I was getting anxious because I was pushing that thing to the point that it should be failing. And it just kept going. It just kept firing and kept going. So, it is what it is, but pretty damn reliable. And yeah, I've bought another one since then, and I'm about to buy 3 more. I'm probably going to have a whole freaking wall of them by the time I'm done because how reliable they are. Fancy new tools are great, but reliability will trump a jamming fancy tool at every single time. So, Henrys are top tier. I love them. Use them on my trap line. I use them on my nuisance stuff. I've gone squirrel hunting with them. I'm going to go for rabbits with them. If we get enough snow, I'm going to chase the coyotes with them. Super reliable. It may be an old school train of thought, but Man, lever guns, them lever guns, use them. Buy them. Buy them. If you see them on the shelf, buy them. Because for a long time when I went to the store, they didn't have them on the shelves. They were sold so fast. But now there's quite a few of them on the shelf because they opened a second factory. So they're pumping them out. And there's more available. And I'm going to be buying more of them. 100% confidence in it. If you do your part as an outdoorsman, the tool will function. The other guy that bought the Ruger 1022, he did his part, except for the fact that it jammed every time, which is the tool's fault. So buy the Henry, sling the lead, do what you got to do, be successful. That guy next to me, like I said, I'm repeating this because people are coming and going, but that guy next to me could have put so many more 22s down range because he had a 1022 in a rotary case. But he fired one, had to unjam it. He got unjammed, fired another one, had to unjam it. I could have got 3 or 4, 5 tubes off by the time he simply got 3 rounds off. So invest in what you're going to invest in. Make sure it's a simple tool like a lever gun that functions and feeds with a simple device. It's not overcomplicated. Don't cheap out on things, otherwise you're going to have problems. If you got to save up for it, save up for it. You will be happy with it. You're also going to save more money in the long run. As I told you a little bit ago, buy once, cry once. Buy multiple times because of issues, cry multiple times. And for $225 American, you can get a Ruger 1022. Or you can spend another $200 and have yourself a Henry that's never going to jam. I would buy the one that's never going to jam and it's going to be reliable. Just save that little bit of extra money, put it aside. Even if you got to buy it 3 years, 6 to 12 months down the road, it's going to be worth it and it's going to save you a hell of a lot of stress and money. Y'all have a good day, but man, them Henrys are chef's kiss. And no, in the state of Oregon, I'm not required to use, straight walls. I can use whatever I want. I hunt with a 338. So use what you want, but when it comes to reliability, I'm not complaining about my Henry.